Hi, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar on thinking outside of the search box. I'm Ankita Satija, and I'm a senior product manager at ViSenze, a retail AI company. I'm your moderator for today's webinar, and I'm pleased to be joined by some colleagues today, Diogo Quintas, Head of Multi-Search, and Brendan O'Shaughnessy, Chief Commercial Officer at ViSenze. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Ankita. Great to be here.
Hey, Ankita. Great to be here.
Diogo, Brandon, we're all shopping online for one thing or another, and I typically buy clothes online because I'm hoping to save some time. But I often find myself browsing for many good hours at a time because there's no way to tell the search box what I'm really looking for. For example, the other day I liked a print and I took a photo of it. And I wanted to find a dress in a similar print, but it was just nearly impossible to do that on any website that I went to. Last month, we launched Multi-Search, which is a vector-based multimodal search engine. And today we're going to highlight what that entails and how merchants and shoppers can benefit from the experiences multi-search can light up. But before we get into that, I'd like for us to speak about why multi-search is such an important development and what are some of the reasons why we have invested in these capabilities and launched a multimodal search engine. So Diogo, you worked on the merchant side, working for UK retailers like Sainsbury and Argos on search and recommendation solutions. What are some of the challenges typical search engines present to merchants and shoppers as well? And what frustrations do you recall from those days?
Yeah, the biggest frustration, for anyone that's shopping online is always going to be when you're searching for that product and you land in completely unexpected results page, or you land on a dead end of no results. And actually, in some websites, these type of experience can represent up to 30% of the search earnings. And this leads to a lot of people exiting the website, which of course leads to massive amounts of revenue being lost for retailers. And this is happening when shoppers are using their own words to describe the products they're looking for, or when the product data is incomplete or not very well structured. And this frustrating experience is really a direct result of the old technology that is powering these search engines that most retailers are using. Search engines like Solr, Elasticsearch are relying on matching the individual keywords that users input in the search bar and matching that against the product data and using simple ranking mechanisms to determine how relevant a product might be to that search query. You can immediately see how limited that approach can be. Of course, if the keyword of the user is not present in the data, then your products are not going to be shown. If the meaning of the word somehow changes depending on the context, matching on those words is probably going to lead to some very awkward results. So let me give you an example on that from my days back when I was just starting out in search. We would see a lot of queries for superhero things, typically superhero clothes being very common. So imagine a search for Black Panther t-shirt. A keyword search engine is going to match on that black word, literally, and is going to show you mostly black t-shirts and not Black Panther. So that's an example of how words can change meaning depending on the context of the search query. So these engines that retailers use have no understanding of the meaning of words, and now that meaning changes depending on the context. And, earlier to your point, how do you even describe a pattern? And that's really the fundamental limit of text search. And this is where visual search and multimodal capabilities become essential for retailers.
Diogo, you mentioned there that typical search engine technology is based on really old architectures from over 20 years ago. And we'll come back to that in a few minutes. But besides search, recommendations have typically been used extensively to drive product discovery as well. We've seen a lot of our customers drive up their conversion rates by using various recommendation strategies. We've also seen a lot of evolution in recent years with a focus on personalization or personalized recommendations. What problems remain to be solved in the recommendation space, according to you?
Yeah, undoubtedly, recommendation has seen quite a lot of innovation in the last decade or so, and machine learning taking a much bigger role there than in search systems. But many retailers are still relying on simple rule-based recommendations or simple item affinity models. That's where you have things like customers also bought kind of experiences. And over the last 5 years, yes, there's been a lot of focus on bringing previous shopping and browsing data to bear on these recommendations and imbue them with greater personalization. But the techniques have their limitations when it comes to products being introduced, new products being introduced, and having no history, or shoppers browsing anonymously or not being logged in. To give you an example, I'm sure you've experienced product pages that have no recommendations. And this is because that product is new and and hasn't collected enough history to be able to have relevant recommendations. For some customers, these product pages with no recommendations can take up to 2 weeks of the system to have the necessary data to provide these relevant recommendations. And that's a significant lost revenue opportunity for merchants. So yeah, current recommendation systems are based on more modern technologies, but there's still a huge amount of challenges to solve there.
And let me just add, there's one aspect, Ankita, of recommendations that has remained really constant, right? And that is that the type of product recommendations, whether it's view similar, you might like, others often bought, etc., are still defined by the retailer and are presented to the shopper on the PDP. Now, as the majority of shoppers are anonymous, personalization has its own limitations. Everyone ends up seeing the same thing, or at least the same type of product recommendations. And that just doesn't work, well all the time. So whilst it's great that, to Diogo's point, some retailers are investing heavily in using shoppers' purchase history to try to present more personalized recommendations, one of the things I'm very excited about is multi-search's ability to support what we call hyper-personalized recommendations. And that's quite different because what it does is it allows a shopper to define the type of recommendations they want to see and then tailors the output based upon their preferences or purchase history for further optimization. And I think that's next level.
Hyper-personalized recommendations. That's an interesting point, Brendan, and I know that we'll come back to it in just a bit. But I want to bring in another important aspect of product discovery and search, and that's the social media channels like Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and shoppers like myself often gather inspiration from there. An interesting stat that I came across recently is 66% of consumers are inspired to purchase from a brand after seeing some social media images. And I'm still amazed that when I come across a beautiful outfit on Instagram, it is still very hard to trace that back down to a retailer's website so I can actually purchase it. Traditional search and recommendations on the website typically fail us in this shopper journey. And Diogo, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I think it all has to do with the system incentives you have in place. We are dealing with a codependent ecosystem there. Social media networks want brands on board to provide engaging content, not to mention ad revenue. And brands want to be in there because of the tremendous reach these networks affords them in terms of audience. And this works really well for everyone. Shoppers get great content, social media networks get to keep their users engaged, and brands get to reach and engage with their most loyal customers. Now, completely falls apart when the shopper wants to buy. And that's because there's no effective bridge between being inspired and the point of purchase. The platforms do not want their audience to leave and want them to buy in their platform, but merchants, while happy to engage and inspire the shopper in that platform, do not want to see the platform as a sales channel. They want to keep control of that transaction and buying experience. So that bridge between social media and the merchant property is missing. Now, we think that this can be overcome. And we've been working with some of our customers to see how multi-search can help address that problem and be the connective tissue between the two worlds. And quite excited about that.
So, Brennan, we've discussed the challenges with typical search and discovery solutions, and we're here to introduce multi-search. But how do you explain what multi-search is to retailers who may not understand it just yet?
And multi-search is a vector-based search engine that supports single searches using multiple inputs, which can consist of an image and a text phrase, for example. And that's very different to typical keyword search engines that only process simple keyword search and then try to find matches based upon those literal keywords. The Black Panther example that Yoga gave a few minutes ago is a good example of that. And whilst multi-search is able to process keyword matching searches, just like standard search, it's far more advanced because it's also able to interpret the search intent of the user. And this makes it incredibly powerful because this kind of AI search technology is better able to find a specific product, a similar product, or even a complementary product. And that unlocks not just better search results, but also helps create new experiences that blur the line between search and other forms of product discoverability, such as product recommendations.
So, Brendan, tell me, how does it improve the shopper's experience while shopping online?
Well, search has always been a conversation between a shopper and a retailer's catalog. And that conversation was previously very limited. Some people call it a sort of one-way conversation. With old search solutions, it's not easy for shoppers to, just easily point to a product and say, show me something like that, but in a different color, for example. Or, show me more like this in my size. With multi-search, shoppers can express themselves more naturally as they try to find the right product. And as we know, the better the product results the shoppers see, the less bounce rate merchants will see. So that's a big positive for both parties. So let me highlight 3 examples of how multi-search can power search and discovery beyond the search bar. Our first release of multi-search focused on enhancing the visual search experience. So to show you this, I'm going to use one of the promoted products from the gallery here to show you how we've enhanced visual search with multi-search. Now, typically, when browsing search results, whether it's visual or text search generated, you're generally limited to 2 options. You can either click on the PDP for a product that you might like. If you don't see anything you like, you tend to have to go back and start a new search. And those limitations can lead to higher bounce rates. And multi-search allowed us to bring 2 key refinements to our visual search experience. The first one is we were able to add what we call find similar, this icon here, onto every search result. And the idea here is to help you as a shopper who sees a product in a set of results that might catch their eye but isn't quite what they're looking for. And by clicking this icon, what you're able to do is trigger a search that then generates related results to that product that caught your eye. So in this instance, you can see the results here are very relevant, very closely matched to the original dress that I clicked on. And that is, similar strap line, similar color, similar pattern, just, slightly different styles. If I look at the other results here, again, we got some color variations and then, different degrees of relevancy to that search. So that's the first refinement. The second refinement is I'm able to bring in text or suggested attributes to further refine the product results that I see here. So again, I can go through to one of these, click on the PDP, or maybe I'm looking for something shorter. That's the case, looking for something with a shorter hemline. All I need to do here is type in shorter in the text box, text search bar here, and now I've got a further refined set of results. Now we're able to provide these enhancements because we're now conducting a multimodal search that has a high relevancy of image search with the accuracy of product data search to deliver better search results. So that's how we've made image search better, but that relies on the shopper uploading the image in the first instance. But as we know, every retailer has hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of product images across their site. but they're typically not searchable. They're there to support browse behaviors. So the second experience I'm going to show you is using the images on retail sites as searchable assets, whether they're on the PLP, search results page, or PDP. Let me show you what I mean. So on this page here, this category page, some promoted products under our favorites. I like this white dress, and if I tap this search icon here, I'm able to open up a new search window that uses the retail image, the product that the retailer has promoted on their website, the image of that as a search query, and I'm able to refine that in a way that suits me. So in this instance, I like the dress, love the style. I'd really love to see it in pink. So all I need to do here is, by opening the search window, I'm searching for this dress, but I'm searching for a pink variation to it. And as you can see, very quickly, I'm presented with 6 options, 3 shades of pink, all very similar styles to the dress on that promoted product page. So I really like this Renita midi dress. I might buy it. Before I do, I might just go and see whether I can find a suitable summer hat that might go along with it. So again, open up a refined search against that pink midi dress, search for summer hat, and now I've got the results I need. Okay, so it's another practical example of search outside the box, where using multimodality search, you can make every one of your retail product images searchable and help customers find the right product for them faster. The third example I'm going to show you is one I'm very excited about. When it comes to PDPs, and despite personalization, most retailers load multiple recommendation carousels to cater for the range of customer preferences for the different selection of products they might want to see. At best, they often compete against each other. At worst, they may not be relevant to the customer and often go ignored. Well, multi-search allows us to present a better way of providing in-page recommendations whereby each shopper can personalize their own. So I'm going to bring it back up to the top of the page here, and just below the product details here, we have what we call Recommend Me. And this is it's a widget that takes up a very small section of the page, so it can be positioned higher up. And with this, each shopper can easily choose the type of recommendations that they're looking for. So here we have a blue bomber jacket, but I love the outfit the model is wearing. You know what? I'm interested in a jacket, but I'd also like to see some jeans that I can pair that with. So now what I've done by typing in recommend me these jeans, I'm presented with my own personalized recommendation carousel where 6 options of those jeans are presented to me. So great way to personalize the recommendations for me. That might not have been a recommendation carousel that's on the PDP, so my journey would have been very different. But with Recommend Me, I'm able to write my own journey. And that's the beauty of this. So like the whole outfit, I've now got the jacket, I've got the jeans, the t-shirt I'm interested in, not quite sure on a white crew neck. I tend to prefer V-necks. Let me just do a search for recommended V-necks. And now what I've got here are a range of V-neck t-shirts that can go well with those jeans and that jacket. So again, it's a clear example of how I, as a shopper, am able to fully personalize the kind of recommendations that I get and ask for those product recommendations that I actually want. So we're calling it hyper-personalization. We're really excited about how this will help shoppers buy faster and for retailers to sell more. So as you can see, multi-search isn't just a better search bar at the top of the page. It's a brand new hybrid search platform that can be utilized right across the shopper journey to make product discoverability faster and easier in so many different ways.
So Diogo, Brendan showed us an experience there where multi-search is actually able to interpret the search intent. How are you actually able to make this a reality for shoppers?
Yeah, I'm not going to be reading people's minds anytime soon. What we will be able to do is to understand what a consumer means when they use the words they do. We will do this primarily by using what's called text embeddings and vector search techniques. This is where we apply AI models to the entirety of a search query rather than trying to analyze individual keywords. Let me give you an example. A search for dress shirt or shirt dress uses exactly the same words. So for all technology search engines, this seems exactly the same search, the same intent. But of course, we know it means completely different things. Dress shirt is a formal shirt, and a shirt dress is a type of dress. So we're going to be able to understand the entirety of the semantics of the text search, and we're going to be able to layer on signals like your past purchase or your current browsing session to provide you with much, much more relevant results to you.
So ViSenze has been an AI company since inception. Diogo, can you explain a little about how AI has played a role in search over the years, and especially more recently, where it seems that GenAI is about to take over everything? What really has changed in the recent times?
Yeah, ViSenze has been a leader on AI search for many years now with visual search. Since the very beginning of ViSenze, we've taken a vector-based approach to search. And we've actually built one of the first vector search engines in the market. And we put that search engine to use by training deep learning models for image recognition and using the vectors, the embeddings from those models to build the most accurate visual search for retailers. Now, up until recently, AI has been sort of on the periphery of text search, particularly when it comes to e-commerce product search, where the role of machine learning has been limited to learning to rank approaches. So vector search for text-based search has been of limited interest up until recently. And that changed with the announcement of GPT-3. Since then, we're witnessing a true revolution in AI technology, with seemingly new large language models appearing virtually every day. This will have and is having tremendous impact on search, both from a consumer perspective and their expectations to what these systems need and the technology capabilities we are getting out of this. So thinking first about the consumer expectations, it's going to be very disappointing for consumers if the search remains as frustrating as it's been so far. Consumers will most definitely start expecting search bars to really understand them. So semantic search is going to be table stakes and not a good to have. Second, these large language models that we're seeing are prone to what is called hallucinations. They're great in simulating a conversation, but they're not great at being factual. And this is where we need to complement these large language models if we want to use them to recommend products with a product knowledge base that is semantically searchable. So this makes it absolutely necessary to have vector-based semantic search as part of your toolkit if you're building this type of experiences. And finally, in terms of the technology capabilities, these LLM models are triggering a flurry of development on the generation of embeddings, making them richer embeddings. And this is trickling down to how relevant these vector search engines are. And we're starting to see embeddings fine-tuned for specific cases and even multimodal embeddings.
So Brendan, Diogo summarized what all is happening with GenAI pretty well. But what do these advancements really mean for search and discovery going forward? And what do you think we can expect to see?
Diogo's given a pretty good rundown there in terms of change between old technology and what we're seeing now with multi-search. And I think AI is definitely going to become more and more critical for search and discovery. I believe with multi-search, we're also going to see a blurring of the lines. We're going to see, I think, a more fluid interpretation of where search stops and recommendations begin. And that's going to have an impact, for merchants. I think it's going to mean rethinking website designs, how you structure PDPs, use of imagery, some of the solution decisions you make in doing that, and how you address optimization. what are some of the optimization strategies in the future that you need to look at? And I think for solution vendors, it means being able to adapt to a more competitive environment because traditional technology solutions won't cut it in the future. I think that's pretty clear. But for the shopper, I think there's some really good news in all of this. I think they're going to be able to find products faster and more easily. If I can quickly and reliably search for and find a pair of shoes from my favorite brand that I've seen posted on a social platform, I'm going to be happy. If I can trigger a search using a product image as context to find something like that in my size and preferred color, I'll be happy. And if I can write my own personalized recommendations on the PDP, I'm going to be happy. So I think we're going to see, quite a bit of change right across the board. But for shoppers, I think they're going to see a lot of benefits.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think what this technology is achieving is the democratization of relevant search and personalization. Large retailers have been able to offer relevant, personalized product discovery, but they do so at great expense. They rely on large teams to optimize their search engines, large team to optimize the recommendation engine. And what this technology is doing is lowering the barrier to entry to provide good search and recommendation experiences. So brand and retailers will also have to start thinking holistically about these experiences. And they'll have to start looking at search and recommendations as two faces of the same coin, of the same product discoverability coin, and start designing end-to-end discovery journeys. To achieve that, they'll have to really rethink how they're organizing their development teams, how they're defining their roadmaps, and what technologies they have in their stack.
So both of you painted a great picture of all the things that multi-search can do. When can we expect this new wave of shopper experiences to start showing up on retail websites and apps?
Yeah, we've just launched our first multi-search experience to our customers. This takes the form of combining image and text inputs to deliver a much better visual search experience. And end of this month, we'll see us releasing hybrid search capabilities that combines keyword matching with semantic search to deliver best-in-class text search engine that works straight out of the box and is going to be available to our customers. At the end of May, we'll be releasing an LLM-powered shopping assistant that I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, as Diogo said, we're already engaged with our retail customers. We've migrated some of those customers who've been using visual search for some time to the new multi-search platform. And we're also ready to bring our new retail customers on board the multi-search platform. And, as to Diogo's schedule, our new feature releases will be coming in the next few weeks and will power some of those new experiences that we spoke about earlier. So I think we'll begin to see live in-market solutions later this quarter, and it's going to grow from there. And in the meantime, we will be formally launching multi-search and doing in-person demos at the upcoming NRF Asia show in June, which is in our hometown of Singapore. So watch out for that.
So we're available now and ready to test and launch with our customers. And we'll also be launching more experiences powered by multi-search in June with a big party, and everybody should watch out for that. And with that, we can conclude. That was a great chat. Thank you, Brendan and Diogo.
Thanks, Ankita.
Thanks.
And that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you all for joining us, and we welcome you to sign up for a demo through our website and see how multi-search can transform your shopper's journey.